Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, with all the chatter about Meghan, her new podcast, I wanted to touch upon something that I haven't, seen. I haven't looked extensively, but I haven't seen anybody really address this particular issue, which, as a tarot reader, stood out to me immediately, which is Meghan, you know, hijacking a psychological term created by Carl. I don't know if he created it. I think he may have. Uh, he made it the most prominent, use of the word archetype. And it's used amongst psychologists, psychoanalysts, psychiatrists. Very big huge topic here. And of course, tarot readers also use this word a lot because tarot cards are seen as archetypes. And this is just the first website that pops up when you look up archetypes. You can search online about it if you're interested. It is a fascinating topic, but just quickly here, what archetypes are, and I want to look into today, why is Meghan hijacking this term? Now, Meghan doesn't know a lot, I'm sure, about psychology, but she does know about marketing, right? And so for her to hijack this word is, especially as she targets young people, it's like she wants people to think of her when you think of archetype. And a lot of psychologists have been dissecting Meghan, and a prominent one, H.G. Tudor, has recently been deplatformed suddenly. So I think that it does bother Meghan, and I do think that she is possibly fighting back against all the psychologists out there who have pointed out what a narc and a psychopath she is. And she may be saying, well, take this. I'm going to take one of your most important terms in psychology and twist it into my little me podcast here. So first, I just want to talk about what an archetype is here, and then we'll do the reading. So real quick here, archetypes are universal, inborn models of people, behaviors, and personalities that play a role in influencing human behavior. Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung's theory suggests that these archetypes are archaic forms of innate knowledge passed down from our ancestors. In Jungian psychology, these archetypes represent universal patterns and images that are part of the collective unconscious. Jung believed that we inherit archetypes much the way we inherit instinctive patterns of behavior. So he has the four major archetypes here: the anima animus, the self, the shadow, and the persona. So the point is, archetypes are something we inherit. We just know instinctively. It's like you don't have to learn archetypes. They come to you from tapping into the collective unconscious, or you could call it our intuition, what we tap into. That's what tarot readers and psychics tap into. It's like, so archetypes are just something that everybody already has pre-programmed in their brain, basically. You could look at it that way. We're all connected to the collective unconscious. So I find it interesting that Meghan with Harry, who are pushing this New World Order agenda with Klaus Schwab, who wants to implant things in people's brains and control your thoughts and all this other stuff from the cloud. I find it interesting that Meghan's using the same kind of idea of information that we already know from basically downloading from our collective unconscious, right? So Jung believed that archetypes come from the collective unconscious. He suggested these models are innate, universal, unlearned, and hereditary. So of course, Meghan and Harry with their demonic group with BLM and Tifa, I'm sure they'd love to start using, somehow I just get the idea that they're going to say, oh, those white supremacists, with their archetypes. By the way, I skipped over this part real quick, but it just says, Jung believed the human psyche was composed of three components: the ego, personal unconscious, and collective unconscious. So yeah, archetypes organize how we experience certain things. Quote, all the most powerful ideas in history go back to archetypes, Jung explained in his book, The Structure of the Psyche. Quote, this is particularly true of religious ideas, but the central concepts of science, philosophy, and ethics are no exception to this rule. In their present form, they are variants of archetypal ideas created by consciously adapting consciously applying and adapting these ideas into reality. For it is the function of the consciousness not only to recognize and assimilate the external world through the gateway of the senses, but to translate into visible reality the world within us. Jung rejected the concept of tabula rasa, the notion that human mind is a blank slate at birth to be written on solely by experience. He believed the human mind retains fundamental unconscious biological aspects of our ancestors. These primordial images, as he initially dubbed them, served as basic foundation of how to be human. So, and it also goes into your personality. And so Megan will probably try to explain away her narcissist personality by saying, it's all my ancestors who were slaves, and that's the reason I'm so nasty now because you white supremacists made me this way. See, it's all your fault, right? Like, she'll somehow try to flip it over or something. But anyway, so Young, from my understanding, and I'm not an expert in this, obviously, I'm not pretending to be, but he basically learn this from studying people, talking to people with their dreams and dream imagery, and how people would have dreams and see things in their dreams, experience things that they would. Now, remember, we're going back before the internet here, right? Way back in the early 1900s, where people would know about things from their dreams, but wouldn't be able to that were actually historically significant or in other cultures, and that they were not consciously aware of, but they were experiencing these knowledge of other areas, other times that they had no other way of knowing that were historically accurate and whatnot. So he was pointing out that these people were that we have a collective unconscious where we're all connected. Yeah, so there's a very powerful, and he goes, he goes into all this. So it's a very powerful concept. This changed psychology. And you don't need to be an expert to understand the basic concepts. You have your persona, just how we present ourselves to the world, or mask that we wear. And then the shadow, I'm sure we're all familiar with that one. That's the one where you have a part of yourself that you're unconscious of because you don't consciously accept it, but you express it, you know, out in the world, right? And it usually comes out in the form, okay, this usually comes out in the form of judgment. You don't like something very often, the expression, the quality that you criticize in others is very often the quality you possess. I'm sure Megan wants to love to use this one on people, right? Oh, you're just criticizing me because you're the one who's flawed, right? But that is the idea of the shadow. And integrating your shadow is part of improving. And I find this is a fascinating topic. Not only do you have the shadow, but you also have the reverse of it, which is the halo, which is where you idealize someone and say, oh, they're so wonderful. And usually because you possess the same or similar qualities that you don't recognize in yourself as well. So it's not just a shadow. There's also, reverse. So, and then the anima and animus, the masculine and feminine. So in your dreams, when you see a male or female, it can be significant of the two parts of yourself. So it's a fascinating thing to read, to learn about, really is. And it's a shame that someone like Meghan is, basically bastardizing this term. I mean, so I'm wondering, what the hell is she trying to do here? What is she trying to do with hijacking the word archetype and this whole concept of archetypes, which is gets very complex, but uh yeah, what is she up to here using archetypes, that psychological term from Jung? Of course, she doesn't even credit him, naturally. uh so let's take a look at this. And of course, she's not doing anything as far as I know. She's talking to like Serena Williams and next to Mariah Carey. Like she's having all these frivolous conversations with her fellow witches, which, by the way, Ashley Danger Zone pointed out that Serena and Oprah and Megan are all part of that with the BLM women. They're all witches in that satanic group that she recognized, Ayama, whatever it's called. So I find that very interesting as well. So this could be a very demonic type of thing going on here, where they're just the demons, Meghan and Harry are involved in their group, their satanic New World Order group, are just trying to screw around with our knowledge and our reality, and taking everything and turning it upside down and reversing it, which is exactly what Satanists do. So I'm going to be using the Angel Wisdom Tarot, and we're going to be looking into why Megan's hijacking the term archetypes. Why is she doing that? Is she fighting back against all those psychologists like H.G. Tudor? I mean, I don't know if he's a psychologist, but all these experts who are analyzing her and trying to flip it back on them, or is she just trying? Is she trying to? I mean, obviously, again, marketing. Is she trying to make everybody think of her first when you say archetypes? And everybody uses the term archetypes. It's such a common term used everywhere, whether you're a psychologist or not. For her to hijack, and she actually tried to. Trademark this, right, or copyright it. She tried to actually copyright. Remember that when that came out? Unbelievable. The arrogance and stupidity, and she really thinks she thinks that she's in charge of the world, and that's what she's working towards with her globalists. That she could try to archetype so that nobody could use the word archetypes. You know how many articles and books are written on this topic, and she wants to try to trademark it. Can you believe how crazy this witch is? Let's take a look. What the hell is she thinking? Hijacking such a popular term, such a standard, such a, what the hell is she thinking, this crazy witch, calling her stupid podcast after it? Let's find out. Totally misleading, by the way, that, she would name her podcast this one. It really should be named, Megan blah, blah, blah is about herself with other superficial, materialistic gold diggers was what it should really be called. Is what it's really about. So it's really, downgrading this term, which is insulting to anyone who studies psychology. Anyways, so let's take a look. What the hell is Megan thinking? Or is this some demonic thing? Or is she just, being a smart aleck? Let's find out. What the heck is Megan thinking? Because with Megan, she's, in her group there, her Sunshine Stacks and whatnot, they don't do anything, spontaneously. This is well thought out, and they discussed and analyzed for a long time before she chose a name. You know that. Crazy witch. So let's take a look. What the hell's Megan thinking? I've already shuffled the cards. I'm going to split the deck. What was that crazy witch thinking? Her and her demons, man. They're always up to something. There's always something behind something with them, right? There's always something. So what's generally she trying to do here? The moon, uh-huh. Yeah, with the moon making people crazy and divisive. And you could also possibly look at this as unconscious, which is where the archetypes come from. The idea that, she's tapping into something, a word that, is rather complex. It says one word, but it describes quite a lot. And sort of making people wonder, and also making people debate it. So another aspect as well. What else? The moon with, what do we have here? 8 of Wands reversed. Oh, no, 8 of Cups reversed, excuse me. 8 of Cups removed. So, upright, this is about moving on, leaving here, spiritual quests. But she's got it reversed, so it's coming back to it. Cups here, this is water. So water and the moon, a very watery, unconscious. Now, Megan, I know, uses NLP with her speeches. She likes trying to tap into the unconscious. You can see that with her speeches, is particularly to young women. So I find it interesting that when I ask about what she's doing, hijacking the word archetype and ruining it with her crazy podcast, and Moon really does describe her podcast, right? I'm getting 2 cards that are very not obvious, right? This is not about, and at the bottom of the deck, I got the 4 of Wands here. It's about a couple celebrating their new life in Montecito. So there's something here that she's doing. This is to build her brand with Harry and building herself. And I'm getting this moon could be about fear as well, and the idea of making people uncertain and not seeing it, again, unconscious. And I'm getting 8 of Cups, which is emotionally swaying people, quietly sneaking. Okay, I see this as like somebody here, he's sneaking into your brain here, your unconscious, because you see there's a moon there. So now I say sneaking because it's reversed, which I see as like hidden, internal. So, all right, so what Megan's doing is, women, particularly women, the moon is also women, I should mention that, as well as the public in general. And here's this man walking into a door into someone's unconscious. You can see this as like unconscious of women in particular. She's interviewing a lot of women. It's all about feminism from the least feminist person on the planet. So she's trying to reach women in an unconscious way, particularly girls. and she wants to make money from it, no doubt. I think she invited everybody. I haven't listened to it. I can't stand listening to her voice, but I have a feeling I do know, I read somewhere that she's inviting people to go back to her Archwell website and tell their story. Right. And of course, if you do that, you sign off on that so that she can trademark it and sell your story if she so chooses, or steal your idea or your writing. And we all know how she plagiarizes and copies everything. So don't write a thing on her website unless you're crazy. And also, even if you just visit Archetype website, Archwell, whatever, they're tracking and tracing you and everything else. So a lot of shiftiness, a lot of sneakiness here. But the first thing I see is Meghan trying to get into people's unconscious here. Now, you could just say with the word archetype, she is unconsciously connecting it. She's already done it, right? So when you hear the word archetype, now you're going to think Meghan's stupid podcast, right? Whereas before that, it was the landmark concept of one of the greatest minds in history, Carl Gustav Jung, who also used tarot and other divination techniques. He found that that was a great way to connect to the unconscious, the collective unconscious, which he felt helped integrate, your minds and become healthier. Um, and the fact that now she's using her marketing here to unconsciously connect herself and her stupid little gab fest of nonsense with one of the greatest psychological, concepts in history. So again, doing it unconsciously, right? Because she's not saying that. I didn't listen to it, like I said, but I don't think she explains why she named it that. And even if she did explain, she'd probably use something frivolous, like, oh, it begins with ARCH, like RT, which I'm sure is part of it. But she could have named it any other number of things without naming it archetype. So there is something secretive here. There is something. She knows she's pissing off the psychologists and the tarot readers with this. She knows she's getting under their skin. So I think there is a little bit of that. But I also get the idea of there's something unconscious here she's pushing here, and probably with her NLP as well that she does on there, as she does in general, that to be aware of, that there's certain things. That's why you got to be so careful what you listen to, what you watch, because they are sneaking in those subliminal messages to you. And she's all about the subliminal, this girl. So be aware, be conscious when you listen and analyze, like, why did she say that? What, and is there something I hear in the background? There'll probably be this like whispering sound in the background saying, Meghan is great, Meghan is wonderful, if you listen to it. I wouldn't put it past this witch. She is part of a satanic cult, and they'll do everything and anything to elevate herself. So what's the basis of it? What's really going on here? Uh-huh. The world. Uh-huh. There she is. She wants to be seen as queen of the world here. And you see, I take the figure eight, what is that called? Lemniscate, above the infinity symbol above her head, as her messing with everybody around the world, messing with their minds and elevating her as the Black Princess, right? That's what she wants to be seen as, even though she is whiter than Snow White most of the time when she's not in between tanning. So, but I am getting that she's doing some kind of subliminal thing here where she is reaching people to obviously promote herself around the world, and for the New World Order. I mean, she's part of the New World Order, and she's pushing it. This is part of one of the many, heads of the Hydra here, of the snake, of the Medusa head. She is one of the many facets of the New World Order and promoting it, and this is part of it. She's reaching a certain audience that perhaps Klaus Schwab and the rest aren't reaching. Women and young women, So she's definitely is using this, and I kind of see this too. If you see that in front of this world figure, she's got this like dust or confetti. This is her spreading her misinformation, spreading her lies while she promotes herself with the globalists. So this, of course, podcast, like she had, I saw in her advertisement, she said, "It's just me. You get to talk to me, not through the tabloids. Me, right?" So she's going to spread her lies directly to you now. But not just that. Be aware she's doing things unconsciously to you as well with the way she's going to be. Now, one example of what she's doing with her unconscious influence here, with her lies that she's spreading, is that she made up the lie that there was a fire in her son's room, as you all heard, and everybody's saying that's not true. Well, anyways, I noticed that one of the Sussex squad on Twitter, I just happened to catch it, said, "Oh, now we understand why Meghan was so upset looking in South Africa, where she said, 'Nobody asked if I'm okay. You know, my life is so difficult, it's so rough.'" Remember, she's looking all sad and pouting exactly like Diana's face did, biting her bottom lip exactly like Princess Diana. So I'm getting here that, of course, the story about the fire and being upset and, oh, the royal family made her continue on to the next engagement. She couldn't just take some time out to cuddle Archie like Serena did. Um, that is a subliminal message there from her to everyone. She didn't say it's the reason I was so upset in the Bradbury interview or whatever, where she's saying no one asked if I'm okay. She's using this to explain. Her lie is trying to explain why she seems so upset in South Africa, but she's not stating that outwardly. She's expecting you to infer that, and even if you don't consciously think of it, to unconsciously now connect her South Africa story that everybody already connects with her complaining and moaning and groaning and crying because no one asked if she's okay. Well, now she's adding this story, a new story of, oh, there was a fire. And who doesn't know how terrifying fires are? I mean, I think we've all experienced a case. Fires get out of control all the time very easily. So now in your subconscious, you're going to be connecting her fire story with her interview where she's, "Poor me. Life is so difficult when you're a billionaire and you're famous, you know. Life is so difficult." So she's doing this intentionally, unconsciously. That's why she came up with that lie. That's one example of what she's doing here. I'm sure there's many others of what she's doing. Like I said, there's probably subliminal messages in there. And again, with the NLP, if you know NLP, the way she phrases things, that can be interpreted more than one way. When your unconscious accepts it, if you're not really paying attention to how she's phrasing it, you may unconsciously accept things in a different way than you may expect. And that's the way it is. So you can do a search online about how to protect yourself from NLP. It's another very interesting topic because we're talking about the unconscious here. Archetypes are about the unconscious and collective unconscious. NLP about that as well. And again, her podcast is about the unconscious aspect of it. All right. It's not about the actual interviews or what she's actually saying. You got to read between the lines or be aware that there's some unconscious manipulation going on here with archetype for sure. And I think that's part of the reason she chose this word is what I'm getting. So it triggered her to use this word. Two of Wands reversed. So I see Harry and Meghan in this. This is Harry and Meghan with their ideas, and again, holding a globe there, the world, the globalists they are, and they're pushing their ideas on you via the media to a wands. This is how they're forcing. They know that you're not going to listen to them or take them seriously because they're not experts in anything. So they're forcing their message on you unconsciously because they know they can't do it consciously. Because when Harry says something stupid like, "Oh, the First Amendment, it's bonkers," everybody's going to jump down his throat, and naturally so, and he's commenting about other politics in the U.S. when he has no place to be doing so. So they know that if they stand out and say, "This is what we believe, you should just all, do what we tell you. We're the globalists, and you're nothing. You're specks. You're fleas." So they have to do it unconsciously. So that's how they're going about this. So what does Megan expect from using her archetypes word here? What is she expecting? And I get, oh my goodness, 5 of Swords reversed. You see that? You see that? She is having the last laugh on you, and this is exactly what the globalists are doing, right? Who got most wealthy from the so-called pandemic? in 2020, right? The billionaires, the globalists, they became trillionaires while the middle class was decimated. And Megan, of course, supports that because she's part of the billionaire class now. And did you see this man here? He's getting all the money from winning this gambling hand here, and all these people are suffering. They've lost all their money. These are the fleas. These are you and me. Oh, we've lost. And she's finding ways to take everything she can from you. And it's very secretive the way she's doing it. Again, underhanded, secretive. So this is what she's doing to your mind. You know, you see these knives, these ideas, these dangerous um, deadly ideas going into his brain, into everybody's brain back there. It's like the knives are dropping down on them, killing them. And this is Megan over here laughing, like, haha, I got all your money, and oh, you're listening to my message, and you don't even know what I'm doing to you. You don't even knowing how I'm affecting your thinking. You think it's about me talking to Mariah Carey or Serena. You don't even know what I'm doing in the background here with my buddies. So, and her witchcraft. Don't forget the witchcraft. It's very important. So yeah. So she's being a clever little grifter here. This is the opportunist, the grifter, right? The gold digger that she is. And she's just effing everybody over and using her podcast to F with your minds and to relay her little globalist message. Because now, don't forget, Megan is so very involved with World Economic Forum. She's speaking soon, and you're going to be hearing more about it at the Young Leader place, which is total World Economic Forum globalist. Nonsense. So she's very, very much involved, and they're helping her with this without a doubt. I mean, I see them at the bottom of it all. She's getting a lot of help with doing the subliminal stuff here. So Megan's not figuring this out for herself. She's getting all kinds of help from her, demonic World Economic Forum buddies here. And of course, like I've already said, her website, Archwell, is already a place that you have to be very, like, where they'll steal all your data and track and trace you and steal your ideas if you dare write anything down. Even if you delete it, right? They showed on Twitter, if you type something and then change your mind, delete it, they still keep that on record. I mean, everything's on record. So be very wary of anything Meghan and Harry do, particularly Meghan. Both of them, really. I mean, and Harry with his heads together thing, which is very suspicious as well. I'm not going to get into that today, but they are all about effing with our minds, trying to influence us unconsciously towards their globalist agenda. And Megan just thinks she's so clever here, and she's trying to get as much as she can from you, whether she's getting you to buy her stuff or visit her website where she can make money off your data or steal your ideas for your stories. That's why she's targeting young people who will be more open to sharing their personal experience and writing. So that's why she's really targeting them. She wants to steal all she can get because that is what the World Economic Forum is about. They want to connect you to the Internet of Things so they can just pluck whatever creative idea out of your brain without paying you anything, right? That's what it's all about, is stealing everything they can from you, your energy, your ideas, your work. And when they're done with you, they have to just euthanize you. See, so that is what's going on here. And Harry and Meghan, of course, are enjoying this. So she expects to be gaining from this. I mean, obviously, they really heavily promoted her podcast, and she knows being controversial gets views and listens. And that's why, another reason why, besides the fact that I cannot stand that woman's voice anymore, that I won't listen to it because I don't think you should expose yourself to her. You don't know. She's getting a lot of help behind the scenes. I wouldn't, I'm getting a major arcana here with this unconscious, and I'm getting a very, very nasty what she's doing. And I just don't want to, yeah. I'm sticking to reading what the royal reporters write. I'm sticking to the avoiding, listening to Harry and Meghan. And if you do listen to them again, be don't just let it pass into your ears unconsciously while you work on something else. Make sure you stay alert, because there's definitely some major shadiness of a much more complex order than you may realize, because those two are well connected, as we know, and they are nasty. This is very nasty trickery what they're doing. It's designed to stab you in the back. So is Megan afraid of or not want? Uh-huh. 10 of coins reversed. It's always about the money with her, isn't it? She doesn't want to lose her status as being, I see this as related to, you should look at this as the globalist, meaning of the world and the 10 of coins here. She doesn't want to lose her position of the globalist power. And also, she doesn't want to lose her position as being associated with the royal family. And not that she cares about the royal family, but she wants you to see her as a royal person, right? So she wants to make sure, and I think that's going to be part of her, unconscious programming here with her archetypes, is she wants to make sure that you don't forget who she is. She is, whatever she wants you to consider herself to be, which I assume is, a princess or a duchess or a royal. She wants you to see her as that, as elevated, as better than you, as exalted, because she knows that little girls just love the idea of becoming a princess. So romantic, and and also they're, of course, pushing the lie of Harry and Meghan. They're so in love, and they're soulmates. Now they're using the soulmate word, and they had to escape that old fogey traditional white supremacist royal family for a new one, creating a new progressive new world order royal family. So this part of this podcast is she's going to try to unconsciously associate herself with being royal. She doesn't want you to forget it. And of course, she wants to make money and steal as much ideas that she can merch as she can off of this. I mean, everything that she's been doing is about merching and making money. So what is she hoping for? Hoping for, oh my, what is this? King of Air, King of Swords reversed. King of Swords reversed. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that face. Like, oh, you bore me. You disgust me. You flee. Reversed. So she, again, I'm getting the idea of attacking people, of being nasty and vicious and murderous and criminal. This is major criminal card. This is a criminal mind. She's part of a criminal group with the globalists. We see this is a criminal card as well. Swords and swords. Strategic. Messing with your mind. Effing with your psychology. Saying F you to the psychologists. Putting forcing you consciously or unconsciously to associate her with being this, world, queen of the world, expert in everything, et cetera, et cetera, elevating herself above all these greater minds than herself. I mean, that's one of the major accomplishments throughout this whole fake pandemic, is that, they put somebody in charge, Fauci, and Burks, and then they ignore and silence and censor anyone of the greater minds of PhDs out there and MDs and all these other elevated, more intelligent people. They're censored. But you got to listen to dumb Fauci, who's never treated a patient in his life. He hasn't. He has an MD degree, but he's always worked for the administration. He tortured beagles and children with new medications, but he's never actually worked in a hospital as a regular doctor. So I mean, the point is they put these people in charge, and that's what Meghan and Harry want. They want to put themselves in charge here of whatever ideas they're pushing, and try to make themselves seem like as if they're relevant, as if they're important to talk to. Why there should be, more strictness about who gets a platform like this, right? About who, I mean, I guess, no, then somebody like Joe Rogan wouldn't be able to rise, and I get that. But Harry and Meghan are really the last people on earth that anyone should be listening to. But again, they are part of the globalist structure, and that's why they are, and they're criminal AF. Anyways, next card, who or what is influencing this podcast of Meghan's? And I get, oh yeah, Six of Wands. Six of Wands. So she's getting a lot of PR help here. I get a China flag. It looks like China to me. The globalists, because the globalists are a part of and belong to China's Communist Party, from what I'm hearing. A lot of communist influence here, a lot of New World Order, totalitarian influence here. And yeah, this is seen as, you know, finding a way to find use for Harry and Meghan, and this is one of the few ways they can. It is a minor arcana, so again, we already know from the bottom of the reading that the globalists are helping her out, and her sunshine sacks and everything else. So that this is, added support. I see this as like the Sussex Squad, who are also part of BLM and Tifa, the Satanists. There they are, as well as being commies. They're all commies as well, totalitarians. So yeah, They're helping her out here, no doubt. Online, pushing her, promoting her. I mean, really putting her face on billboards. I mean, really. Oh God. All right, so how's it gonna go in the near future? How's this gonna go? Burn. King of Wands reversed. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, no one's buying their PR. No one sees them as royal. They're being, they're getting lambasted, and by everybody. There's nothing positive about it. It is a disaster, of course. But everyone still listens to it though. So that's the point. There's something unconscious going on here that she's doing. Because she knows that people are going to lambast her. She knows people are going to criticize her. That's why they're doing this unconsciously, whatever it is they're doing, which I don't, influencing people, trying to screw around with their thinking. I think making them more mentally ill because that Harry's better up isn't helping anyone either. It's like they're just taking people's information for the AI, it seems, for the World Economic Forum. And so, whatever it is she's doing, she is trying to promote herself as a royal and whatnot, as a royal of the progressive royal of the New World Order, that Klaus Schwab and the rest are doing. But of course, the podcast itself is a disaster. The King of Wands reversed. We know that. I mean, it's a disaster, the fact that nobody likes it, but it's successful and that everybody's listening to it and talking about it. And in the long term, what do I get? Oh my. Yeah. Seven of Wands reversed. Seven of Wands reversed. So again, she's going to be fighting with everybody and deplatforming them. This is her on her high horse up here, fighting back against people who criticize her. But of course, she's going to do it secretively, right? So that when channels like HG Tudor disappear, you can't say for certain it's Meghan and Harry, but we know it's Meghan and Harry. So she's going to be waiting for people to criticize her, and whoever she dislikes with her New World Order powers, she's got to take them down. So this is more of an effort of her to destroy anyone she doesn't like and being nasty AF. She's being nasty, and again, secretively. So I think part of this as well, besides her pushing, NLP and unconscious messaging here and saying F you to psychologists who criticized her and pointed out how insane Harry and Meghan are and what narcissists they are and being very vicious and cruel and criminal, with the way she was affecting people's thinking or whatever who listen. She's also using this podcast to identify and because look, I've said we've seen this over and over again. This is a repeated theme that Meghan and Harry do something obnoxious, and then when people like Piers Morgan and others reply, then Meghan can turn around and deplatform them, right? So Meghan, what did Meghan do a couple of years ago? She gives an interview on Oprah, right? Total disaster. Piers Morgan comes out and says, I don't believe a word she says. And what happens to Piers Morgan? Meghan calls his boss and has him fired. So he was deplatformed, right? He lost his job. He was fired. And there were other people who were fired too. There was a journalist who was fired. There's a lawyer who was fired. I mean, lots of people, the cancel culture. That was Meghan calling them up and getting them fired. And this is part of the battle of the World Economic Forum against us, trying to take us out one by one, and so that anybody who opposes the World Economic Forum and the New World Order, they're losing their jobs. They have no money. They're going to struggle. What are you going to do? You got to take handouts from the government, and that's exactly what they want. They want you in the palm of their hands, because then they go to digital currency. They'll say, "Oh, we don't like your political opinions. You get nothing this month for food," right? So that's why they wanted to platform and get people out of their jobs if they contradict the New World Order, and that includes Harry and Meghan. So Meghan is using this, so unconsciously sending unconscious messages here, dangerous messages, making people crazy and upset. And she's also using this to attack anyone and to either deplatform them from social media or make them lose their jobs if they however they criticize her, right? Because her and her Sussex squad will come out and be like, "You're just racist," and start harassing and try to get them fired, right? That has been the repeated theme of Harry and Meghan, and this podcast is no different. She's going to be using it to deplatform people and to try to have her Sussex squad attack them and malign them. So yes, there's a lot of criminal, multi-layered what's going on here. Of course, Megan is getting a lot of help, like we said, the world New World Order at the bottom of it all. So there's multiple reasons, but of her doing this and using the word archetype and everything. But there's definitely, I think she's using archetype to secretively show that she is doing something unconscious here, and that's her main push. And it is destructive. It's very destructive and manipulative and nasty what she's doing. Very criminal, pushing her New World Order with her messaging here, her unconscious messaging here, while consciously she's just jib jabbing with Serena or Mariah or whatever, whoever she manages to, get on there. So to finish this off, I'm going to use my Mildred Harris cards, and we'll look at what's one of the messages Megan is trying to spread here. I mean, we know she's trying to promote herself and make you think she's a royal, but what kind of message, what unconscious message is she sending through this podcast with her NLP or other subliminal? What is she trying to send? Spider. What unconscious message is she sending? Blood. What unconscious message is Megan sending with her podcast? What is she trying to shovel? Time. Getting a lot of death ideas here. Blood with the tainted blood. Okay, umbrella. Pipe. Frog. Comets. Catastrophe. Crow. So the spider is a feminine idea here. They say what's that expression again of the spider again? What a world we weave when at first we practice to deceive. What a web we weave. I think that's it. What a web we weave when at first we practice to deceive. So of course we know Megan is lying about everything, as she usually does, and she makes up a blatant lie. So this blatant lie, she knew everyone was going to say you're lying. It's so easy to prove, right? So this was intentional. So she knew she was going to tell a lie, a big lie. She knew everyone was going to jump on it. But obviously, she wanted to do this. This is carefully designed. Okay, so the spider is strong and powerful female energies, carefully designing one's life or carefully designing this podcast. So everything is very strategic. Like I pointed out earlier, Megan's a control freak. She is working with the World Economic Forums. This is very strategic, the messages she's sending. And of course, it's a lie, as you know, which we knew, but her lie even has an unconscious connotation to it, like that I already explained. Or one of the connotations was that you're supposed to align consciously or unconsciously her idea of experiencing this traumatic fire event with the interview she gave where she's boo-hoo-hooing because nobody asked if she's okay, right? To try to give her sympathy and justify her bad behavior in the interview, her self-serving, poor me victimhood that she was trying to push. Life, the blood is life, vitality, sacrifice, heritage, and ancestry. So yeah, obviously the archetypes brings that up, as well as you could think of the V's with the poison death shots. Oh crap, I'm gonna get in trouble for that. Uh, but life, vitality, blood sacrifice of her coven there, her evil satanic group. So there's probably a sacrifice because Serena's part of it too, and probably Mariah Carey as well. So they're probably sacrificing something before these shows, and maybe they're encouraging sacrifices with them. Now we all know I pointed out that last video I saw of Mariah Carey was when she was getting the snake bite, and she obviously got a fake one. It was the one around the social media. So it's obvious, fakery and lies. So Mariah Carey's not above telling some evil lies herself, uncovering the truth, digging into a situation, doing work. This one, time here. Time changing things as time goes on. Pressure, life passing by, aging. So as time goes on, she is lying, she's trying to cover up her lies here. She's trying to find excuses for all of her bad behavior that you criticize her for. She'll come up with a lie to explain it away, and that's what she's doing, part of what she's doing as time goes on. The umbrella, because she wants to protect herself. This is protection for something beyond control, sanctuary, and maybe a bad omen. Yeah, so we see the blood dripping here. So she knows about the blood here. I see the blood as like the death of the innocents coming up and continuing. As all the life insurance companies and the actuaries have pointed out, we have a 4 sigma event of uh, deaths occurring, especially among younger people. She's protecting her, trying to protect herself from her collusion with the results of that, causing that. And many think that the people who have been murdered by these things are part of a blood sacrifice to empower the evil ones. And the shovel can be seen as, burying, basically trying to bury the truth, bury the bodies here. She's trying to bury her involvement possibly with this as well. Now, pipe is like peace pipe, and it can also be seen as also significant of peaceful outcomes, tranquility, contentment, all the comforts of home and spirituality. So this is a spirit. Spirituality can be seen as protecting herself from the spirits and the blood of those sacrificed that her lies led to, her and Harry's lies. And they continue because basically they're a death cult, which we know, right? So she's trying, there's something here that she's trying to bury the truth here of her involvement and over time protecting herself from the spirits. Because, all right, so anyone who was involved with pushing these things, uh, they're worried. Meghan's worried that those who have crossed over are going to come haunt her ass, right? Because they, as a demonic entity, they see it as a sacrifice to take power from, which is why they repeat their names. But she's trying to take power from that and protect herself from being attacked, I think, from those who have passed on who know exactly what her involvement is. It was part of the New World Order. The frog is transformation, disguise, disappointment, something unpleasant you need to accept. So she keeps putting herself out there, right? Don't forget that the idea of everyone seeing you and what you've created creates an energy that these demonic entities use in their rituals, which is why they try to get like unsuspecting people to come out and repeat certain phrases, and these stupid people who followed them, like BLM Antifa, would stand around repeating it, which only empowers them. And I'm getting catastrophe here. The comet is um, disaster, turmoil, destruction, war, and a bad omen. I mean, we are on the verge of possible wars and more disasters coming. I think she may be trying to, on some level, she's trying to clear her name a bit here unconsciously. Remember, this is her unconscious messaging, is trying to clear herself of responsibility, protect herself from the transformation and the catastrophes that are happening and continue to happen and are getting worse. Part of what I'm getting here. And the crow is an omen of bad news, moving from place to place, and criminal activity. So there's more criminal activity that she's bracing you for with her unconscious messaging here. More blood, more death, more burying of bodies as time goes on. More bad omen here, protecting herself from the spirits. This could be her demonic spirits that she's also conjuring up somehow with her podcast for the transformation and unpleasant times coming ahead, the catastrophes that her and the World Economic Forum are causing, right? Bad news and the criminal activity. Yeah. So she's using subliminally putting information out there to influence you with her demons, with her criminal ideas, criminal mindset, to accepting the catastrophes that are coming somehow with whatever she's influence she's spreading here. Um, and the turmoil, and causing catastrophes, right? Because don't forget when Megan gave that speech to the young girls association, whatever it was, she's like, you gotta fight and push us hard, right? So she was inciting them, right? And that's what she's doing with this podcast. She's inciting you towards her criminal activities, and using young people to turn against their parents, turn against their towns, turn against their people, right? Because of their skin color, because, whatever. That's what it is. So she's still enticing this. She's still trying to, and she's disguising her, messaging here. So her messaging is, of course, she is pushing the race war, which is part of the BLM critical race theory nonsense, Marxist communism, by inviting only black and biracial people thus far to her podcast. But of course, that's the unconscious, right? I don't think she talked about race necessarily with them. She talked about being women, right? So the unconscious message is, I'm only talking to black women because they're the only real women. Those white ones, well, they're just the enemy, right? They're the oppressors. I don't talk to them. They're not even human as far as Megan's concerned. I mean, that's the messaging of the New World Order, right? So the consciously you're talking to these about women's issues, allegedly women's issues, and women being too ambitious, which again, unconsciously or under the radar, she's slandering and attacking back at Tom Bauer, but consciously she's just talking about ambitious women, right? But unconsciously she's sending a message of racial hatred, and trying to transform society and create more upset and violence because of race. And also there's also something demonic here as well, I'm seeing, with the spirits, with her trying to protect herself, and the sacrifice here causing more death and destruction here. And she's lying and just weaving this web of criminality and lies and more evil. And so that's what I'm getting there so far. Of, it's very evil, obviously, what she's pushing the BLM agenda unconsciously, and with what she does, and not speaking about it outwardly again. So everything she shows, what she wears, who she's talking to, it's whatever she doesn't address in the podcast outwardly, is what's part of the unconscious message. And it's destructive. It's pushing this death cult, and it's pushing her evil, demonic, criminal, destructive path here, that she's trying to transform society into the new world order that she's very much a part of with